Okay, you walk out of a college classroom or a school and your professor says you're a moron if you believe in God, especially Christianity. Then you end up in another situation where someone tells you you're supposed to believe that Christ is the Son of God without any questions or investigation, and so you're stuck in the middle. Let's say you're open-minded, but at the same time, you find it really difficult to go in either direction. Now, that may be a definition of agnosticism, but I doubt it. What I feel like we're talking about right here is an honest search. That's what I want to talk to you about. What do you do? Now, I'm going to tell you one thing about Christianity that even a lot of ministers miss. It's something that Jesus said. I'm going to read it. It's in John 7, verse 17. If anyone will do his will, he shall know concerning the doctrine, whether it is from God or whether I speak on my own authority. Now, the Message Bible is not one of my favorite translations, but in this instance, I'm going to have a little fun with it. That same verse. Jesus said, I didn't make this up. What I teach comes from the one who sent me. Anyone who wants to do his will can test this teaching and know whether it is from God or whether I'm making it up. How do you investigate the faith of Christ? Well, here's a simple fact and matter. He made several promises about what your life would be like if he was in control of it. Now, some of you will point to the hypocrisy in Christians and in church and say, well, that proves it isn't valid. What it says in the 3rd chapter of Romans, verse 3, is really powerful. It says, what if some didn't believe? Does that make faith in God without effect? So speaking intellectually honest to you, the failure of religious individuals to rightly reflect Christ is not an exemption or an excuse from your own private search. Here's what Jesus said. Take the initial steps toward me. Look and see for yourself that when you begin to implement what he said your life should be like, suddenly it starts falling into place. G.K. Chesterton lived in the 1900s. He was a powerful speaker for communism until he met Christ. He was in charge of a magazine called Punch, which is, you'd have to say it's the Rolling Stone magazine of Europe at that time. He was the editor of it, and one day his life utterly changed. Well, one reporter was trying to figure out, how did you so radically change from total atheism to Christ? He said, you can't see God. How could you believe in him? And he said, I don't believe in Christ because I can see him, but by him, I'm able to see everything else. He's talking about this thing that I'm talking about, how everything falls into place. When Jesus said, do what I'm teaching, then you will know. This follows a line of thinking that's very powerful. Is it really possible to know that Christ is the Son of God? Let me tell you, there is absolutely no reason for you to think otherwise. That's my opinion. But for you to experience it will take a degree of honesty. It'll mean that you're going to have to separate yourself from maybe the fad ideas of your time. But the fact is, after 2,000 years, the power of this message continues to grow inside of people. And that's really what matters. It's not what your friends think. It's not what your bad friends' religious experience or weirdness in church. It has nothing to do with this. It has to do with one thing, what Christ said he would do. Some people call him a great moral teacher. In fact, the majority of the people that honor philosophy and human history will look at Christ and say he's a great moral teacher. Here's the dilemma. He said he was the Son of God. If he said it and he isn't, then he isn't a great moral teacher. He's probably a bald-faced liar. That's why that's not an escape. What you have to do is simply listen to these words. Take the steps. Examine for yourself. And watch what happens as your life begins to fall into place. God bless you. I hope I get to talk to you again.